Alright, let's knock this out real quick so I can go to breakfast. Estimating square roots. Alright, so what a square root is this little sign right here. It's kind of like a division sign with a little hook on it. And probably seen a little bit, like we say something like square root of 9.
It's 3.
It's 3. We think what number times itself gives us 9. So we know 3 times 3 is 9, which means square root of 9 is 3. So all it is the inverse or the opposite operation to exponents. So we say since 3 squared is 9, then the square root of 9 has to be 3. And this works really well for all of your what we call perfect squares. Like 25, the square root of that is 5. The square root of 49 is
9.
not 9.
7.
It's 7. Very good. Okay. But then the problem becomes, what about all the numbers that aren't perfect squares, like the square root of 26? Oh. And then we don't know. And a lot of people be like, well, it's 13 times 2, because that equals 26.
But it has to be the same number.
But it has to be the same number. So, problem is that this doesn't have an exact value. So we're going to look at how to estimate and find something close to it. Alright? So we start out by doing this. We need a number line. So let's draw ourselves a number line. Okay? And we're going to number it from, let's say 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, close enough. And every one of these whole numbers has a square root that's equal to it. So you think, like, what square root is equal to 1? Or what number times itself is 1 is just 1. That's pretty bad. 1. And then we go to 2. We think what number, or, no, I'm sorry, I'm thinking of this backwards. We say 2 times itself is what, which is 4, which means that the square root of 4 would then be 2. And we can keep going. 3 times itself is 9, so square root of 9 is 3. The square root that'll give us 4 is 16. And the square root that'll give us 5 is 25. And we could keep going all the way to like 30, I think is what we're going to end up doing in class, which is, that square root is 900. And that covers you for just about everything you'll see ever. But for what we're doing, we can go 1 through 5. So if we know this, we can then figure out any square root within that range. So let's say they say, what is the value of the square root of, I don't know, 23? So we look up here and we think, what two numbers does it fall in between? So 25 is a little bit bigger than 23, and 16 is a little bit more than 23, which means that this has to fall somewhere in between 4 and 5. And then the only thing we have to consider is this closer to 25 or 16? And hopefully we could recognize, well, it's a little bit closer to 25, so it might be like right about here. So we can see the square root of 23 is about 4.8. And we can check that. Maybe. I don't have a square root button on this calculator right now. Shoot. Oh, there it is. Okay, so 23 square root. We get 4.79583, and we notice, look, this isn't going to end if we kept going. That would just keep on forever. Okay, so that is close to 4.8 though. And that's about it. So you look for the two perfect squares that we know, and we figure out which two is it between to come up with an approximate value. Alright, so again, we do this so we can get points. So let's bring a question over here. Oops. Nope, nope, nope. Go away. So the square root of 83 lies between which two consecutive integers? So square root of 83. So that's the number we're looking for. Square root of 83. Excuse me. So we're going to need to go a little bit higher than 5 for this one. So we think, what square root do we know that's close to 83? Well, we could try 8. And we know 8 times 8 is 64. So square root of 64 would be 8. That's lower than this. Okay, so let's go to the next number. We say 9. And we say 9 squared. 9 times 9 is 81. So square root of 81 would be 9. And that's still less than this. So it's not going to be between 8 and 9 because that's too small. So we go to the next number. We go to 10. And we think, what is 10 squared? Well, 10 times 10 is 100, which means the square root of 100 would equal 10. And look what we have here. 81 is less than 83, and 83 is less than 100, which means that the square root of 83 should fit right in between 9 and 10, but closer to 9. So that'd be about 9.1. Let's check it. So we're going to say it is less than 9. And or greater than 9, less than 10, sorry. We check it, correct. And we can do this all day long. Square root of 91, well, that's the same answer, because 91 is still between 81 and 100, although it would be a little bit more towards center here. So that would be the same as, that's still between 9 and 10. There you go. And we're going to see why this skill, because on its own the skill is kind of useless. You don't see it that much. But we use it to solve a lot of other problems, which we'll see later on at some point. Okay. Have a good day. And do some math.